Kajula.
Unbelievable.
That was Dalton's exclamation.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That was wow. What a win. For those who don't know, we are recording this coming off of a huge 5-3 win for the Oilers over the Preds. How's it going, boys?
Second. Whoa, wait, hold on. Okay, couple things. First thing is, I am all fueled up on pierogies and kubasa, which is the food of the Canadians. So I'm ready for the and
good to go, eh?
Yeah, I'm good to go, eh? I actually drank some maple syrup to get my my vocal cords all loosened up as well. And then I also just want to give a shameless plug for my YouTube channel, Fantiniastic. I post about moving down to Canada or moving down to Florida as a Canadian. I posted about the weird things about Florida. And then I've got a cast coming up tomorrow about secrets of radio that you always wanted to know about.
Whoa.
No shortage for weird things in Florida.
Yeah, that's true. Florida is without a doubt the armpit of the United States. Well, first off, we gotta stick with a little intro, boys. You know, we gotta have structure. From what I'm told, we gotta have some structure. So, welcome everyone, our loyal fans, to episode 3 of South of the Blue Line. We got Chris.
Hi.
We got Dalton.
Hey.
And we got me. We're going. All right, Chris, go ahead, buddy.
No, I just want to say, the reason I know about that radio stuff is because I was in radio for 15 years. As a matter of fact, for Dalton's friends who are listening, I was on a radio station called 96X for 4 years. And I also did some work on K-Rock, which is still around.
Oh, nice, man.
Wow, look at that.
I learned something too. Crazy.
Yeah. You know, I have done nothing of note in my life yet, so.
Yeah. Right about the same point. Once upon a time, I played hockey. I was okay.
All right, boys. So there's been a lot of hockey games between, the Oilers and Jets have played. So there's been 3 games each. So I thought we'd jump back and forth. And just get our takes on what happened. So first, we start with looks like this Monday, the Jets had a comeback win over the Blues, 5-4. Chris, how did you feel about that game?
That was a long time ago. I thought we were going to talk about recent stuff. Also, you cut Dalton off. He wanted to tell us that he played hockey once upon a time.
Oh, yes, that's right, Dalton. Dalton played hockey once upon a time. What was your highest level of play, buddy?
I played... I don't know what the equivalent would be for you guys, but for me, it's basically the highest I could play in my community. So in midget, which would be like 15 to 17-year-olds.
Yeah. So just like rec or club?
It was still like it wasn't rec hockey, like there's still full contact stuff like that. It was still competitive hockey, but it wasn't like here in Canada. You can play just for your association, or you can go and play for the AAA teams or the AA teams.
Okay.
Yeah. So in Calgary, there's like 4 main AAA clubs that you can go play for,
and that's how you get drafted into like the junior leagues.
Yeah, exactly. Like you'll get drafted if you go play in the AAA league and you kill it. You'll get drafted in the WHL and so on.
I have a second cousin up in Canada who plays goalie. His name's Easton. He just got drafted. Actually, it was he just got drafted. He's a goalie. He got drafted to I think he got drafted by the Blades, the Saskatoon Blades.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. All right. So back to the games. So I mean, Chris, we got to talk about the Monday game because that happened within the last week. So, but I mean, that was a big comeback win, right? Because I remember the Blues were winning by 2 or 3 goals, and you guys actually ended up having a comeback of your own.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I'm drawing a bit of a blank. I'm thinking more. I'm thinking more of the Leafs and the recent Red Wings games that the Jets played. I don't have a long memory when it comes to games. Something over a week ago, I just expect them to beat the Blues anyway. So.
Yeah, well, that was the game. Trouba scored an OT.
Right.
I think you guys were down by 2, and then Trouba had that tap in because the Blues had fled the zone.
Right. Yeah, I remember now. It was good.
Yeah. Well,
That's
and
only-
it really
Whoa.
led to the Blues. They're starting to really look like they're imploding right now.
Yeah, I was actually about to say that's a good point. What's going on with the Blues? They're second last in the West.
Jeez, yeah. Mike Yao was saying like
That's right.
his job's in question and all that kind of stuff. So maybe the first firing of the year won't be the Oilers.
Maybe, I hope not.
I just don't think they can score really. Like I don't see a lot of scoring depth on that team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then jump into the Oilers. The Oilers lost 6-5 in OT to the Pens.
Man, that game.
Yeah, Dalton, how are you feeling about that game?
Sadly, I missed the overtime period because I had to play my own hockey, and I've never been more disappointed about anything in my life.
Let's just say you missed Ryan Strome considering retirement, and I actually heard a rumor that they was at Rogers Place combing the upper seats to find his jockstrap.
Yeah, I watched a quick replay of that, and it just, oh man. Well, whenever you're going 1-on-1 v Crosby, you better be ready, and Strome definitely wasn't on that one.
No, I mean I can't really blame Strome. To be honest, the person I was most frustrated with through that game was Talbot. Talbot had a rough night. He just wasn't. I mean, both goalies obviously let in 6 and 5 goals respectively, but
Yeah.
But still, I feel like Murray played a lot better than Talbot, who didn't face a lot of shots. I feel like the Oilers actually controlled most of that game.
Yeah. From what I watched, it was like quite a good game Oilers wise, and it was a very exciting game too. Right?
Yeah.
You know, don't often see 6-5ers. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, except for if you watch a lot of Oilers hockey
Or the Flames.
or the Flames. No kidding. Oh, okay. Can we jump to that 9-1 game real quick?
Yeah. Chris, did you see the Penguins just dummy the Flames?
Love it.
Oh man, it was just the mood was just suicidal here in Calgary. It was a beautiful time.
Was it? Yeah, that's right. You're in Calgary. What was going on? I bet they were losing their minds.
Oh, I was having people text me left and right, just like act like they're like talking about stopping watching hockey. They're like calling for the coach to be fired, Smith to be fired into the sun. It's a great time.
You should have been walking the streets of downtown Calgary with pamphlets saying McJesus saved. Be a little missionary. Try and convert.
Oh, that is a good idea.
Yeah.
You know what? I think I got some plans for the next Flames game. Oh, they're playing right now, aren't they?
Oh.
Well, I know what I'm doing after the podcast.
Yeah, right. Okay, so jumping back to the Jets. Jets lose in a nationally broadcasted game that was made a huge deal of 4-2 to the Leafs. And I watched a bit of that game. They looked slow. Chris, how you feeling?
Well, first of all, I can't believe that the duo of Houston and Simpson could actually commentate the game with the sticks in their mouths the entire game. I cannot stand listening to national broadcasts. Again, Leafs and Jets here tonight. Going to loathe to watch that game because it's going to be the same group, and it makes me sick to my stomach. The Jets. So this is what the Jets, are suffering from, right? Like you saw it against the Oilers. They played two really solid games or periods. Then the third period, they just took it off and they ended up losing. The opposite happened to them in their most recent. What was the game? I'm sorry, I'm losing track of the next.
They played the Wings.
The Wings game was not too bad. The Leafs game, I want to go back to the Leafs game because that's what we were talking about. So Leafs game, I thought the Jets played really poorly for 2 periods. They had no legs, which was surprising. And then the third period, they actually started playing their game. They had some success. And I feel like Hellebuck wasn't really on his game that game because, if the Jets wouldn't have surrendered that fourth goal right after they got close, I think they could have came back in that game.
Yeah, I thought Byfuglien was about to make Mitch Marner a stain on the ice, but Mitch Marner turned Byfuglien inside out.
Yeah, that'll happen from time to time. Byfuglien's pretty, he's usually, actually the last couple of years, he's been much better defensively, but he does have his moments. I think all defensemen really do, so.
So are you thinking that the issue with the Jets right now is in their conditioning then, or like what's the problem going on right now?
I think it's a couple things. I think it's like feeling like they might be better than they are, or that they don't have to, work as hard as you need to work to win every night in the NHL just because they had so much success last season. But, the funny thing is I think about last year at this time, and I had the same complaints about the Jets. They were really inconsistent. But if you look at the Jets, if they beat the Leafs tonight, they'll be tracking for 116 points, which is pretty much where they were last year. And the difference is last year they were winning with an unsustainably high shooting percentage. This year they have actually a low shooting percentage, and guys like Ehlers and Laine aren't really scoring. So we're actually in a better spot this year than we were last year. So that's pretty encouraging.
Yeah, we touched on Laine last episode and why you feel he's not going. But Ehlers scored his first goal of the season against the Leafs, and I don't know, he's only got 5 points. What do you think's going on with Ehlers?
It's all confidence, because if you look at the way that Nikolai Ehlers has played through junior and his first couple seasons with the Jets, he's all about speed and attacking the offensive zone with incredible speed. But he really hasn't been doing that. He's been pretty hesitant carrying the puck. He's been backing off a lot, which if he's not moving his feet, he's not effective, right? Because he doesn't have the size to, really protect the puck and play like a heavy board game. So he really attack the zone and create his chances off the rush, and he's just not doing that.
Okay, so then my last question about it: do you think Hellebuyck is also? Hellebuck's kind of struggling because they put Brossoit in against the Leafs. I mean, not the Leafs, the Wings, and he looked pretty. So do you think they let Hellebuyck kind of ride it out and kind of work through it, or do you think they start starting Brossoit more?
No, I think Hellebuck's the guy. I think he'll be fine. I think he's played well. I think the Jets haven't played particularly well defensively. So if you look at Hellebuck's stats, they're not bad. He's just not standing on his head every night. So funny that you're talking about goaltending, though. Can you tell me who this player is? 3 wins, 0 losses, a 1.68 goals against average, and a .957 save percentage. You know who that is?
What is Darcy Kemper?
No, the answer is Brossoit.
Yeah, I was about to go. What is Laurent Brossoit? Thank
you very much for him. We love you guys.
Hey, it's fine. We're gonna get to what we replaced him with. But so now back to the Oilers, because we're doing quick hits. Oilers, after losing what I think they should have won, at least getting a point from the Pens, come back with a statement win against the Washington Capitals.
That game was just I don't want to say the Oilers were dominating them, but man, it was a good game to watch.
So one of the Oilers Nation guys on one of their podcasts suggested that we only gave them 1 power play and they did not score on it. So Washington is actually bad. They just don't. They have a good power play.
Well, I mean, if you're trying to convince me that all of Washington's success is only from the power play, I might disagree with you a bit, but they definitely do shine there.
And honestly, we should have won. We should have beaten them way more than we did 4-1 because Holtby was playing really well.
Oh, yeah. He's just lights out, right?
Yeah.
He's a definitely early Vezina contender. He is every year, right?
Yeah. Though I will say, after the game against the Pittsburgh Penguins, then he gets his ring, and then he pings one off the bar and in on a beauty snipe to give the Oilers the 3-1 or 4-1 lead. The 3-1 lead. Alex the Answer Chiasson.
He actually has stepped up in a big way. I wasn't expecting, that much from him in the because he came in on a PTO. He basically got no minutes at all, and now all of a sudden he's playing on the second line, and I actually kind of love it.
Well, I'm saying that second line of Draisaitl, Reeder, and Chiasson has looked really good.
Yeah.
I mean, Draisaitl was kind of having a slow start, like we kind of expected he would, and everyone was a little bit worried. And then once the whole broadcast in the Pittsburgh game started comparing Draisaitl and Malkin, Draisaitl was like, all right, you want to see it? And he's really turned it on these last couple of games.
Yeah, the problem I have with Draisaitl is he's just such a creative player, I'll put it, that he makes plays that no one else can see, no one else can read, and often they end up going back the other way.
Well, I think what works well is they almost because he's running with Reeder and Chiasson. One, that second line is now not being weighed down by the anchor that is Milan Lucic. We have two speedy top two lines. I mean, the McDavid line is obviously going to be like one of the fastest lines in hockey just because McDavid. But now we have a fast second line, and our bottom two lines can bang and crash.
Yeah, exactly. And the second line is also very defensively responsible as well.
Yeah.
That's really what you get when you put Chiasson up there too. He really can bail out Dry when he decides that he wants to make a backhand pass between his own legs halfway across the ice.
And then Chiasson and Reeder are actually quite fast, like I said, and that creates a lot of havoc on the forecheck, which frees up a lot of time and pucks for Draisaitl.
Yeah, it's looking nice. It's looking
so that's we got a point from the Penguins and 2 points from the Capitals, and then in the same night, like we said, the Calgary Flames get dummied by the Penguins, so it's looking good. So then last Jets game of the week, the Jets beat the bottom of the league, I believe, Red Wings, 2-1. Chris?
Yeah, actually, I thought the Wings played really well. First of all, Howard stood on his damn head. The Jets could have had, 4 or 5 goals easily. I thought he played really, really well. But I also thought Detroit played a really up-tempo game. They obviously don't have a lot of skill in their lineup, but they were pressuring the Jets all over the ice. And, I think that they definitely had their chances.
So do you think the score is an accurate representation then, or should it have been kind of more of a blowout?
I don't think it should have been a blowout, because I do believe that the Wings played decently for who they are. But I do think that the game should have been, the final score should have been more in the Jets' favor for sure.
Like maybe like a 4-1 sort of win?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I actually caught a bit of that game as well. I will say that, like you said, the Wings have been looking good. I think the Wings are going to be bad this year, but I don't think they're going to be bad as in the sense of like they'll probably finish in the bottom 5, but they're still going to be that team that is just kind of feisty to play against. They just maybe don't have the talent to kind of win them games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to take a couple of years for Detroit, right? They've dismantled their dynasty, right? They're not going to be quite hitting up with the big guys yet.
Yeah. So then jumping to the game that just finished, that I feel like that we all watched. Is that correct? We all watched it?
Absolutely.
We watched the Oilers win and beat the Predators, who had, I would say, just outplayed them.
Yeah.
Into a 3-0 loss the week before, and we come in and win 5-3.
Yeah. And this was a throwaway game too. They started Koskinen, the backup goalie, right?
Yeah.
They also put a pairing of Garrison and Benning out there,
which is oh no,
oh baby, don't stop! It's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought Garrison looked terrible, but anyways.
Well, yeah, at one point we had Benning and Garrison on the back end of the power play with the second unit, and I was like, are we asking them to score a shorthanded goal on us?
No kid. And then Benning takes a penalty on that play as well.
In the middle of our power play.
Yeah, and so I don't know what they're trying to do there. I don't
how did
think
you
Garrison
feel about
should see the ice.
How did you feel about Koskinen though?
He wasn't as bad as I was expecting.
I will say the 3 goals they scored on him, I don't think they were really his fault. I actually didn't see the first goal, but the second goal, Klefbom and McDavid kind of followed the same man, and then Johansson just kind of fed it back to the slot, and Philip Forsberg from 5 feet away isn't going to stop it. And then the third one, Forsberg's hat trick, was just a snipe. I mean,
yeah. Well, the first one was the same way. It was a power play, I believe. It was a cross crease or a cross ice pass to him. One teed it. Low blocker side. Not a chance for Koskinen.
Though I will say Koskinen, you can obviously tell he relies a lot on positioning and just using how big he is.
Absolutely.
There was a save at the end when they had their empty net pulled where it kind of came across and Koskinen was way out of position. He just reached back and it just hit his glove.
Yeah. He reminds me a lot of Bishop, actually.
But I didn't mind him. I don't think he played horribly.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little biased. What do you think, Chris?
I didn't really. Yeah, no, I don't think there's any of those goals where I went, that was a bad goal. So that's what you want your backup to do, right? You want him to stop what he has to stop, and I think he did that. So
Right. You're not going to rely on your backup to steal you any games, right? You just want him to
he's
be
no
in there.
Brossoit.
Well, yeah, Bouchard's little renaissance. We can't talk about that. That makes me angry.
I mean, and I've been yelling to fire Kajula into the sun, but I mean, he played a pretty good game.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't bad. Though
Two of
missing
the
the empty netter.
goals you ever want to see.
Yeah.
The first goal and the last goal of the game were just ugly as hell. I don't know how he scored either of them. Misses the empty net, first guy to get it back off the back of the boards, and then he scores.
Hey, but he put it bar down on the second chance.
You're charmed, buddy. You're charmed.
I thought he was going to miss the empty netter again. That would have been funny.
And actually, we didn't talk about against the Capitals. Evan Bouchard scores his first NHL goal.
Yeah, it was a bit of a snipe, too.
It was a bit of a snipe. The half clapper, the Bouch bomb.
Oh, you think he's slotting in tomorrow?
I don't know. How do you think they send him down? What do you think that happens?
Oh, man. Oh.
You think he's going down, Chris?
Yeah. With a junior eligible player, you're not going to burn a year of his ELC unless he's like a no-brainer. The Oilers have often mismanaged their young talent, and that would be a mismanagement as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, I mean, they burned a year of Pula Jarvis, but I guess he wasn't CHL eligible. He would have gone back to Finland for his, so it's a little different.
Actually, on that note, what do we think? Because Twitter melted down as it normally does. Puljujarvi being scratched 2 games in a row now. What do you think they're doing with him?
Well, I think they just don't really know what to do with him. He is starting to remind me of Yakupov more and more and more every game. I can see him. I know. I can see him making strides out there, but there's just no faith in the coaching at all.
Yeah.
And I can't help but think that it's a little bit justified. Like, he just doesn't look at home out there on the ice.
I mean, and that until he does.
Yeah,
like the third period,
great plays.
The third period against the Jets looked fantastic.
Yeah, and it's just I think Chason kind of stole his spot there a bit as well. And
yeah,
I'm fine with him riding Chason as long as he's hot, but where do you put Puljujarvi right now?
Yeah, it's true.
Spot, I guess.
I mean, Chris, you've been watching the Oilers do this for a while as well. I mean, what do you think they're going to do with him?
They should go back in time and send him back.
Yeah.
You got to be careful. You got to make the right decisions on these players. Like, you can't, unless they're busting down the door, because you know that once the games get harder, if their baseline is hanging on by a thread at the beginning of the year, then once the games get harder and faster, where are they going to be? They're not going to be competing, that's for sure. And then if they're not, if they're not going down to the minors, then they're stuck on the bench and they're not getting better.
Right.
So it's just a waste of an asset.
Yeah. But for a little bit of a positive spin instead, I really liked how Yamamoto's been looking recently.
Yamamoto has looked at home on that top line.
Yeah, so here's a good question. What happens when Ratty comes back?
What happens when Ratty comes back? I honestly, here's what I think. I think they move Yamamoto down for a little bit. They kind of pump Ratty's numbers a bit, and then we trade him.
Pump and dump, eh?
I think so. I think you send him to a team that's looking for maybe scoring help. Maybe for you probably won't get maybe just picks. Honestly, just dump him for some picks. Start like you got to think, because that's what the good teams do. They make players till they make good players till they want too much money, and then they dump them for picks and just start over with young players.
Yeah, and Ratty is an RFA at the end of this year, so it's very possible they're going to play him with McDavid the entire year long, and then try and deal him at the draft or something like that.
Yeah, because Yamamoto's looks super defensively sound as well.
Oh man, he just so tenacious on that puck.
Yeah,
he can create turnovers all over the place.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, me and you have been just absolutely stroking each other off listening about the Oilers, but tonight
it wasn't McDavid this time.
It wasn't McDavid that is true. So tonight though, is a rematch between the Jets and Leafs. And this game is in Toronto, correct, Chris?
It is.
How are you feeling? Are you feeling confident going in?
No.
No. So what do you?
The Jets, they're just not playing consistently enough for me to feel confident, no matter who they play, because I don't know what they're going to do. Like, I don't know what team's going to come out, right.
So
if they come out flat and they get down a goal or two, then you're chasing the game, and you're chasing a game against a team that exploits defensive lapses. So if you're pushing the game, you're going to create more defensive lapses for yourself, and you got guys like Matthews out there who are going to exploit that. So I don't feel confident right now.
So do you have maybe you got a score prediction for tonight?
Yeah, 3-1 Jets.
Well, you can't bet against your own team.
Yeah, fair enough.
I didn't say I was going to sell them out. I just said.
Who are they? Are they starting Hellebuck tonight?
Oh yeah, they'll start Hellebuck, no doubt.
All right. Well, I hope you're right, because he's in my fantasy pool. And actually, I am playing Dalton this week, and I need a big win against him.
Yeah, you bet you are.
It's
close right now too. It's close.
Yeah.
I think the team will come out like gangbusters. I don't believe the Jets have ever beaten Markstrom, so that's not good news for us. I don't know who they're starting, but it's going to be Markstrom. I'm almost 100% sure.
Markstrom? You mean Anderson?
Oh, Anderson. Sorry, one of those fucking European goalies.
I'm catching a little bit of European bias.
Who are you?
No, I'm just trying to be a Don Cherry of the group. It's okay.
Yeah. So
I like Europeans. It's fine.
Yeah. So 3-1. I mean, hell, Chris, half the offense is supposed to be being carried by Europeans on the Jets.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Well,
their entire existence, both 1.0 and 2.0. So some of my most beloved players of all time are Europeans. Numanen, Olsen, Steen, Line A, Ehlers, all Europeans.
Solani?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
The shining example.
The shining example. So, Chris, actually, on that note, were you alive when Solani scored his 76 goals as a rookie?
Why don't you shut the fuck up? That was a lie.
So you witnessed it.
Yes, I witnessed it. Yes.
So all right. So
I'll drive to Edmonton and beat the crap out of you, Dalton.
So looking back on that, how hyped were you watching that 76 goal campaign from a rookie?
Well, so I won't go on and on about this because I would bore you guys, but I used to feel a lot differently about the NHL when I was a kid. It was magical to me. I used to draw pictures of all the teams, and I used to write out the schedule for the Jets. And if they won this game, where they would be in the standings. Like, I spent hours on this stuff. Once the Jets lost the first time, I kind of lost a lot of my shine for it. So, when Solani did what he did, he brought the Jets into the national forefront of the NHL for the very first time. And that was really amazing for a young kid who was just such a passionate fan for the Jets. So it was a magical time. I don't think there's anything's ever matched that for me.
Yeah. So basically what me and Dalton do about McDavid.
Pretty much. Except for Solani actually did something.
Oh! We felt that one.
Couldn't save the team from relocating, though.
Yeah.
Oh,
man.
That is true. That's very true.
Yikes! Shots are fired.
I felt bad even saying that.
All right. Before I gotta bring this, I gotta call. We gotta switch segments before the band breaks up. So now we're gonna be moving to our league review. So first off, Halloween is coming up. Have you guys? Dalton probably has, but Chris, did you see Connor McDavid's Halloween costume?
No.
So, if you got a computer in front of you, Google Connor McDavid Halloween costume. Connor McDavid put a pillow under his shirt, wore a bald cap, and painted himself entirely yellow and went as Homer Simpson.
It is a wonderful costume.
It is a masterpiece. So do you think, Dalton, better or worse than when he went as Trump?
Whoa. I mean, the Trump one was a little more politically charged, so it gets some more points just because of that. But then again, Homer Simpson's just iconic. So you know what? I'm giving it to the Homer Simpson.
Yeah, I think you're right. Just because one, the Homer Simpson costume is a little bit more extreme, and also like the complete opposite of McDavid.
But well, you never know. Maybe he spends all of his time off just drinking beer in front of the TV.
That's true. That's true. But you know that his girlfriend was the one that suggested that. Connor McDavid wasn't sitting at home being like, you know what I want to do? I want to go as Homer Simpson.
Are you kidding? I can totally see McDavid thinking that.
Do you think McDavid's actually like one of the biggest trolls?
Oh, absolutely. Every chance he gets, I bet he's just... Well, he's got to be like such a perfect person all the time. So, I mean, if I was him, I'd be like... every chance I could, I'd be messing with somebody, no matter what.
Yeah. So then on to something else. The Wilson suspension. We've talked about it, I think, on at least one episode. I don't know if we've done it on both episodes so far. But Tom Wilson had his suspension with an arbitrator, which was Gary Bettman, and Gary Bettman upheld the 20 games.
Mm-hmm. He is going to a neutral arbitrator now.
Yes, I saw that. Chris, what do you think about Bettman upholding the 20 games?
Well, if you'll remember last called that, so
yeah, you did, which I'm not happy about. I'm not too excited that he did that.
Well, I mean, I can see why he did. But I was wrong. Last week I thought it was going to a neutral arbitrator already. I didn't realize it was actually going to Gary Bettman first. So that kind of changes what I was saying. I still think that the suspension is going to be reduced by the neutral arbitrator by probably 5 games or something like that. But also, I don't get why it needs to go to Gary Bettman first. It's kind of like you got like detention from your teacher or something like that. And then instead of serving your detention, you just go march down to the principal and say, hey, I got detention. I don't want it. Yeah. It's like, I'm not too sure what's going on here for that.
So, Chris, do you think the independent arbitrator will lower it?
Probably.
Do you think so?
Yes.
Dalton, what do you think? You think it's also being lowered?
Yeah, I'm going to say 4 games he's going to reduce it by.
So you think it's going to be going down to 16?
Yeah, 16. 1 less than, what's his face got?
Watson. Austin Watson.
Yeah, 1 less than Watson.
Yep. So then, I know, Chris, you wanted to talk about the something near and dear to your heart, Joel Armia.
I love Joel Armia.
He's a good player. I'm actually surprised you let him go.
Well, the problem is we have a lot of guys in our organization that the team needs to make decisions on. A lot of guys that, are non-waiver eligible. Obviously we just put Dano on waivers. He got picked up. Nick Patan, who was in camp, and he's another guy who's like right on the edge of like either going to Europe or being picked up by another team. And then of course, unfortunately his dad died in training camp. So that delayed everything for a while. So I just think the Jets, looking organizationally, they couldn't hang on to all these kind of tweeners who are trying to break into the NHL. So, we got rid of Frolik too. We let Frolik go. Although, I love Frolik. We lived without him. We did what we made it. Hey, we made it to the conference finals last year, had under 14 points. So I think any player is kind of replaceable, but I want to thank Joel Armia for his work in the game. I think it was the last night or the night before last, when the Habs were tied at, I think it was at 3 with the Sabres, with about a minute and a half left in the third. He took a penalty and the Sabres scored and won the game. So thank you very much, Joel. I hate the Habs.
Oh, okay, I was legitimately confused whether that was sarcasm or not. I'm like, is he a huge Buffalo fan? Is he a huge Habs fan? I can't tell.
No, he's a fan of Joel Armia playing for the Habs and letting the Habs lose.
Correct. Correct. So here's a funny story. So I've always hated the Habs because when I was growing up, all my friends were Habs fans, and the Habs were great, and the Jets sucked. So they always used to rub it in, and they were dicks. So I've got my best friend right now is a Habs fan, and he was telling me the other day that he thought the Habs were going to be top 10 in the NHL this year. They're playing so well. And I was like, are you high? So when this happened, I was like, what do you think about Joel Armia? And he actually hasn't talked to me since, so that's pretty cool.
I mean, first off, he probably was high.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Did it get legalized in all of Canada, including Quebec?
Oh, you
Canada.
bet.
Yeah, Canada.
Yeah, it is Canada now.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Laws are a little more restrictive in Quebec, but yeah, pretty much everywhere.
They're pulling the maple leaf off the flag and switching it out with a pot leaf.
Absolutely. We're flying it over every house.
Exactly. So then, all right. So here's actually a story I read. I haven't run it, guys, by you, but
something new.
Something new. You guys remember Scott Foster last year?
Absolutely.
Yep. Yes.
The accountant turned backup goalie turned starter.
Who? It was against the Jets, so of course Chris remembers it.
Yep.
Scott Foster has become he is now practicing with the Chicago Blackhawks.
Really?
Yep. He is now he is now he is at every optional skate at when they practice at home, so they always have two goalies.
Does this man not have a job?
And he still is an accountant by day, or I guess. But I mean, honestly, if I'm an accountant, I walk into my boss's office and say, I'm gonna be helping the Chicago Blackhawks practice. So how about you let me off?
I mean, yeah, if you can work that out, he's got a pretty cool boss then.
Yeah, I guess.
Jeez. That's awesome.
I would quit my job if they said no to me.
You quit it for the unpaid practice with the Blackhawks?
Are you sure it's unpaid?
That's actually true. It might not be unpaid. Though, to be honest, I'd do it for free.
Unpaid.
Yeah. Apparently, emergency backup goalies
unpaid.
do get paid as well. Like, even if they don't get played in the game, they still get paid on, like, a yearly basis.
Damn, I should have learned how to play goalie better.
Yeah, no kidding. That's what I'm thinking, man.
Or hockey in general.
Chris has flashbacks every time he sees me handle the puck in the defensive zone.
Oh, my God.
So do you think it's you think it's neat? Or do you think we'll see Foster maybe get into any more NHL games, or you think he's had his moment and now they're just kind of keeping him around?
Well, he seems like a great guy in the dressing room kind of thing. He's quite a funny dude as well. So
yeah.
Like a lot of the Blackhawks players like him. So Jonathan Toews in the article was talking about how they love having him in the locker room. So you think it's just kind of adding more chemistry, trying to kind of gel the teams back together? Well, I mean, the Blackhawks aren't really expected to be too much this year. So if this helps them out, man, I would do it. Absolutely.
Chris, you think he's done in the NHL, or do you think it's going to help? What do you think about him?
Well, pretty much every NHL team has a guy close to them, whether he's a college player or just somebody associated with the team, who's a goalie who they can use as an emergency replacement, because NHL teams only carry two goalies. And, for the Jets, they've got the Moose here in town. So it's no big deal to call somebody up in a second to play. But for most teams, their farm team is like hundreds and thousands of miles away. So they need to have somebody that can just do an emergency call up on and have sit on the bench. So no, I think he'll still play that role. And then if it happens again, they probably feel a lot more confident about putting him on the ice, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
So looking around the league at the standings, the Lightning are on top of the Atlantic at 7-1-1. No surprise there.
Lightning are dominant again. Wow, yeah, shocker.
Though I don't know if you saw last game, last night the Lightning played and beat the Golden Knights, but Hedman got leveled by Ryan Reeves and left the game hurt.
Yeah. Is there any update on that?
Yes.
Is he out for a while or?
He left the game. He didn't come back.
Oh dear.
So it might be. I mean, if you go and watch the hit, like Hedman's like 6'6", and Reeves like made him go completely horizontal, like parallel to the ice.
Jeez.
Yeah, Edmonds gigantic. I was at the open skate. He's a big guy. He towers over everybody.
So you think? I mean, that's their best defenseman out. But do you think it'll like make him struggle any if he misses any significant time?
Well, I don't think they'll miss him for sure. But the Lightning are just so deep in every position. Like, I imagine that they're gonna still be a dominant team even without Victor Hedman there.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
They're just so solid, right?
Yeah, I mean, man, Sergachev just
Yeah, holy.
Then on top of the Metro is the Hurricanes at 6-3-1.
Naturally.
And then I don't know if you've seen any more kind of a building story. We talked about their game when they win games at home, their celebration. I don't know if they won last night. Did either of you guys see their celebration this time?
Did they celebrate this time?
They did.
Oh.
They did their Viking clap at center ice, and then they did like a bag skate. And instead of jumping into the boards, they turned around and all slid on the ice on their butts and pretend to row like a kayak.
Oh my god.
Okay.
I mean, and then Dougie Hamilton was one of the 3 stars. He skates out onto the ice without a stick and then proceeds to floss. You see him floss? So, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
How did you feel about that, Chris?
Do you know what the term "jump the shark" means?
yeah, I know that one.
They just jumped the shark.
Oh no!
I'm sorry, that was too much. I looked at it, I was like, come on.
So you think Hurricanes are going to slide?
Well, I don't know if they're going to keep. I mean, they're. I don't think their winning is sustainable. If we're talking about their performance on the ice, I don't think this is going to last. But this ridiculous celebration stuff is. I mean, they're going to keep doing it, and their fans will love it. But it's just going to keep getting stupider and stupider.
And it'll be the kind of thing that only their fans love. Like, the rest of the league is going to look at it and be like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I was, though I will say, so I don't think the Hurricanes will continue to be as good as they are. I mean, unless their goaltending gets better. But if you look at their advanced stats, which I know some people are a little iffy on, especially, I mean, Chris doesn't like the advanced stats as much. But the Hurricanes are the best, like shots for, shots against metric in the league. They're averaging almost 40 shots a game and only allowing like 20, like under 25.
So here, let me clarify. So I am not against advanced stats. I think the more different ways we can measure the game, I think the better. My issue comes with the fancy stats community taking stats, manipulating them to tell a story they want to tell them, and then making other people feel stupid for not just agreeing with what they have to say. So let's take this for an example. You're talking about their shot metrics for and against. Well, that's fine and dandy, but here's the thing. If they allow, like, let's say Team A allows 30 shots, right? And they're 30 perimeter shots. They're doing.
Oh, man.
Well, that's what he gets for going against the fancy stats.
Yeah, exactly. The fancy stats community, they hacked him. They bugged him. They sent him out of there.
Yeah, I'll pick up where he was argument. I can see where he's going with it. Like, if there's 30 perimeter shots versus 10 shots in the slot, right? The high danger scoring chances versus the perimeter shots. And I can see he's got a point there, absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree. Like, honestly, like, I love the fancy stats. I think that's all really cool. Like, I love Corsi and shot suppression and all that. Like, I think all that stuff. I don't really understand Fenwick, but I mean, who really does? I've been looking at it, and so I agree. Like, I love the fancy stats, but like, I also really understand there is a huge part of hockey that is confidence, and honestly, people hate it and laugh at it. And it's a bit of a meme now, but there's a huge part of grit in a lineup. So I understand where Chris, you were going with that before you died.
At what point? I think Anchor knows when I'm going on a tangent and just cuts me off.
Yeah, it just says nah.
Yeah.
But like,
What did you hear?
You got to like perimeter shots, and then I'm assuming you were going for the high danger scoring chances versus the low danger scoring chances and quality of shots and stuff like that.
Exactly. Like, some teams, their actual strategy is to allow perimeter shots. They convince the teams that the only way they're going to get a shot is from the perimeter. And that is actually more advantageous defensively for that team. It really depends on the team's strategy, right? So I think that we need to look at advanced stats, but then we need to look at them holistically. And when you're talking about grit and when you're talking about psychology of the game, you're looking at the way the team responds to one another. There's so many emotional inputs into hockey. There's fear, there's confidence. To me, when you're looking at data sets and when you're looking at fancy stats, some of these guys get so laser focused on that stuff that they forget that there is a huge human element to the game of hockey, and it's probably more than pretty much any other sport. So that's why I'm really apprehensive about advanced stats, using them so much, relying on them too heavily.
Well, yeah, they're a tool, right? Like anything else. Like, you're not going to trust your scout's opinion 100%, just like you're not going to trust their Corsi 100% or something like that. Like, you just gotta, you gotta piece it all together, right? You can't.
You also gotta watch the games. You can't not watch the games and then look at the statistics and be like, I know what happened in the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And a lot of fancy stats guys who, by the way, a lot of them make money off of it. So of course they're gonna support it and promote it. They say something like they'll talk about the eye test and about bias and stuff like that, confirmation bias, saying that people, once they believe something about a player or a team, that every event that happens is either going to reinforce that belief. And I do believe that happens to everybody. We all get biased, right? You guys are biased, obviously, probably against Benning and Garrison, and there's a reason for that. They suck, but they don't every single play they make on the ice doesn't suck. Right? Sometimes they might make a good play that doesn't turn out well. Bias may influence you to believe that it was a bad play when it was actually a good play. That's where bias comes in. But anybody who's got enough experience watching the game to understand it can understand when something is a bias and when something is real. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah, I think we all agree for the most part. Sounds like.
Oh, well, we're all within a degree of each other.
Yeah. So then moving on to the Western Conference, the Central Division, top of the standings are the coming off a fresh stinging loss to the Oilers, Nashville Predators at 8-3-0.
Nashville is still a really good team. They didn't really look like it today, but, I mean, they killed the Oilers last game.
So then my question about Nashville to you guys is UC Saros has been their starter since Pekka Rinne got taken out by his own teammate in I believe it was the Canucks game or the Flames game. The Flames game, yeah, before the Oilers. So, Saros obviously looked really good in that first game against Edmonton when he shut him out. But since then, I think the Preds have lost 2 in a row now.
Yeah.
So, do you think they'll struggle with Rinne out?
Those idiotic fans in Nashville still saying "you" every time that he made a save. Let in 4 goals, guys. Give it up.
That being said, yeah, even though he didn't have a good game to me, I feel that Pekka Rinne is one of the most overrated players in the NHL.
Ooh. Hot take.
I know it's not hot take time, and that's not a hot take. That's just how I feel. Because Nashville's defense is so good and so good at preventing those high danger scoring chances, so good at shutting down the other team's stars, that he just benefits from it. So I think UC Saros will be totally fine in his spot as long as Nashville's defense continues to perform.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. I think that, first of all, I think Rinne was the reason that the Nashville Predators lost to the Jets last season in the playoffs. I don't think he was nearly as good as Hellebuck. Can't believe he won the Vezina last year.
Yeah, I thought Vasilevsky should have won it.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then secondly, I don't actually think the Preds played poorly today at all. I think the Oilers played really well. They executed.
Still my beating heart.
Really quick decisions. They made the right decisions. They put pressure on the Predators the entire game. They did a great job. I thought they played a great game. So I wouldn't take away too much and say that the Predators played poorly. Not at all.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think from what I caught of the Oilers Preds games, we talked about it. I mean, the Oilers have played, even though like I think bad goaltending and Sidney Crosby lost in the Pittsburgh game, the Oilers have been playing solid hockey the last 3 games, and not against bottom teams either. They've been playing the Penguins, Stanley Cup champions, Capitals, the Nashville Predators. They've been playing good hockey.
Hey. This is Predators time. This isn't Oilers time.
Yeah, you're right. Moving on to the Pacific Division. At the top is the Sharks, but actually they have one more games played than the Oilers. So kind of tied for first actually is the Sharks at 5-3-2, the Canucks barf at 6-5-0, and the Oilers at 5-3-1. The honestly, and the Pacific Division just itself has not looked good. The Oilers are one of 2 teams in the Pacific Division with a winning winning record. Not a winning record, but like that have had wins. Like the Oilers have won 2 in a row, and the only other team that's done that this week are the Coyotes, who have won 2 in a row. So I mean, what do you think about the log jam that is just the Pacific Division?
Oh.
What a garbage.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say about this division. It's a mess.
I think it's good for the Oilers, though, because I think the Oilers are starting to sort their shit out. And I think that obviously the amount of times they play crap like the Canucks and the Flames is going to really benefit them. And I think, obviously, and the Coyotes as well, because, I think Coyotes winning is more luck than anything. But, obviously the Sharks, and I think Colorado is legitimately a decent team.
Oh, Colorado's in the Metro.
Of course, they're in the
Central.
Yeah.
I always get confused because they're over to your side a little bit.
Yeah, they are.
I think they used to be in the same division way back.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the Wings were in the West for a while.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, and we were in the Jets were in the East. Figure that one out.
Yeah. Then. All right, so then starting the Pacific, at the bottom of the Pacific, and there has been some major problems going on. The LA Kings at 2-7-1, and after their last loss, the GM went into the locker room. They had a closed room meeting. What is going on in LA?
Well, that's after they had a players-only meeting, too, a couple losses ago.
That's right.
I will trade Jacob Trouba right now for Drew Doughty.
1 for 1.
1 for 1. Why not? Doughty's obviously a better player, but Trouba's younger.
And he goes out because that's an insane trade.
He hurt. Yeah. I mean, Anchor is like, get him out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, Dalton, what do you attribute to the just the absolute implosion of the LA Kings this early in the season?
Well, the thing is, they've had these issues for a couple of years now where their team, it's getting older every year. Their players are getting worse. They're starting to decline. And especially with their loss of their resurgent Dustin Brown so far, the Kings they haven't done anything to replace the old talent that they already had leaving. Like, they brought in Kovalchuk. I'll give you that.
But again, old talent.
Yeah, he's not going to be the guy for that many years. He might be okay this year, maybe next year. But they've done nothing to address the issue that their talent's degrading, and they got nothing coming in.
And, I mean, Jonathan Quick can only play so well.
Yeah. Another player I think is really overrated.
Their window is closed. They need to realize that. They need to sell off some assets and start building again.
Yeah. I agree. They're done. Like,
yeah.
They're trending downwards in a division that a lot of teams are trending upwards.
And I feel like they almost like with the signing of like they re-signed Doughty, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they signed Kovalchuk. They just like refuse to admit to themselves that it might be time to start maybe looking to trade Quick or get. I mean, I don't think they're gonna. I mean, obviously by re-signing Doughty, I doubt they will trade him. But like maybe look to trade Jeff Carter. Maybe even Kopitar.
Well, I mean, like crazier things have happened. Just look at the Subban trade, right? So,
yeah, it's true.
But
they could unload right now and really get some good picks. Finish low this year, and really start their rebuild like right away. That's what they should do. They're going to hold on for a couple of years. They're going to lose guys to free agency, and they're going to just slow the whole process down when they could just be stockpiling picks and prospects.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bottom of the Central, the Blues at 2-4-3. I think we all kind of know the reason for this. Goaltending.
Lack of depth scoring. It's defense. Bouwmeester is just not the same player he was before. He just looked like an anchor out there.
Yeah, he has.
Like the game before the Jets game, and then he came in and played, and he just looked old and slow.
Yeah.
Which is really sad because Bouwmeester has been an unbelievable player.
Oh, for a lot of years, too.
I mean, he was a lock for Team Canada roster every time.
Yeah, sometimes got old, got slow. He's just not the same guy.
Yeah, it happens. All right, moving on to the Metro. Is the Rangers at 3-6-1. They're actually not doing terribly, but I mean, like we said, we've talked about the Rangers a bit. Management kind of put out that note, letting them know they're all going to be bad. They traded away McDonough. I mean, no surprise, boys.
Yeah, no. I mean, King Henrik will try and keep him in as long as they can, but no, they're bottom 5 lock already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then last, so I'm actually going to talk about 2 teams in the Atlantic. The Wings are obviously at the bottom at 1-7-2. We've talked about them at length. Missing talent, bad contracts, rebuild. It happens. But the team I really wanted to focus on is at second last is the Panthers at 2-4-3. What is going on in Miami?
I mean, I don't want a ton of Panthers games, but I'm imagining it's probably goaltending.
Yeah, I watch a couple Panthers games. I don't know why. I like the Panthers. Like they're one of my teams that I just kind of always keep an eye on. I think Barkov is unreal. I like Huberdeau a lot. I think he's a little bit underrated, but he is a bit inconsistent. Luongo got hurt in the first game of the season, and Reimer and Hutchinson have come in and just oof. They have just shit the bed.
Hutchinson.
Yeah. Well, it's never good when we're relying on a 38, I want to say, year-old goaltender to drag you to the playoffs.
Yeah, Luongo.
Yeah.
Luongo is getting up there in age, and Reimer's no spring chicken either. And I don't think Chris, you were the last guys to have Hutchinson. How old is Hutchinson now? Any idea?
He's pretty young. I think he's 20. I want to say 26.
Okay,
25 or 26. Yeah.
But he's not going to be their starter anytime soon. You don't think?
No, he's one of those guys who played well for part of one season, and he's been kind of resting on that history. The first Jets goalie made a career out of that, Andre Pavlik. The career 906 goaltender. He played out of his mind for about 4 months in one season. The Jets gave him a 6-year, 3.5 per contract, and he just drank beer and enjoyed the ride the entire rest of the way. He went back to being a 906 goaltender.
Yeah. Cast his checks and showed up for work, and that was about it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I feel like the Panthers every year, kind of the last couple of years, the Panthers make some good moves over the summer, and you look at their team on paper before the season starts, and you're like, dang, the Panthers, it might be the Panthers' year. And then they just don't. They added Mike Hoffman to that already I thought was going to be pretty good offense. I thought the goaltending wouldn't be this bad, and they just, I don't know. The Panthers are a conundrum as well.
Yeah.
Well, I've got some ideas about it. I think part of it's the fact that they're in Miami. I mean, first of all, Miami's a gorgeous place to go and be in the beach, and the weather's great, and there's lots of clubs to go to and a lot of fun. So it's obviously really distracting for the players. That was a problem with the Kings organization for many, many years. They brought in the wrong players, and it was just basically a playing vacation for them. And then they don't have a fan base either. You can often look at the games, and a lot of the lower bowl is half empty. probably kind of hard to get too excited about playing hockey in that environment, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. When you watch their home games, they're empty.
Yeah. Well, when you only sell out tickets when you're playing the Oilers or another snowbird team, you know you have some issues, right?
Yeah. The only times when they have full are when they play one of the Canadian teams and all the snowbirds go to the games, or when they do their rat night. I don't really know what the tradition is, but they throw rats on the ice.
Have you heard about how this tradition started?
I have not, so I would be more than welcome to have you educate me.
All right, so during a playoff run, I want to say in one of their very first few seasons, they had a rat run in front of their team captain who took a clapper and drilled the rat into a wall, killing it, leading to the fans starting to throw fake rats onto the ice.
Ryan
No way.
It was Ryan Whitney.
Was it Ryan Whitney?
Yes, it was.
Oh my.
Beautiful.
Unbelievable. I bet PETA was not too happy about that. No, that's totally a hockey player thing to do, because I can bet that it ran in front of Whitney. Whitney probably squealed like a little girl, and someone was laughing at him, and he got mad, and he's just like, oh yeah, well, I'll show that rat, and then he just winds up and shoots it down.
Hopefully went Bardowski.
Okay, so now I'm gonna do something a little bit different. I'm gonna do a quiz between the two of you.
Oh God!
So don't look. This is on current standings. Who is the NHL point leader as of right now?
Oh, I knew this.
Is it?
It's somebody stupid.
I don't know. I actually have no clue. I'm gonna go with Austin Matthews, but I feel like I'm wrong.
All right, you got Austin Matthews. Chris, what do you think?
I got it.
How do you got it? Do you look it up?
No,
I don't.
I just got to go with that. I don't even have my computer in front of me now.
Me neither.
Dalton thinks Austin Matthews. Chris, what do you think?
You know what? It's somebody you wouldn't expect, and I know I heard it, but I can't remember, so I'm just gonna say I don't know.
All right. Well, Chris definitely got it wrong. I can tell you that. The answer is Mikko Rantanen. At 20 points.
Right. Because I kept seeing, I was like, wow, that's what makes me believe that Colorado's more legit than people think.
Well,
because they've got some offensive.
Yeah. On the point of Colorado, in second place is McKinnon at 18.
They're on
My
the same
fantasy
line.
team thanks them.
Okay, so before I go on to the next question, I'm going to ask you guys, what's the best line in hockey? Is it the Landeskog, McKinnon, Rantanen line, or the Bergeron, Marchand, Pasternak line?
Oh, this has hot take written all over it.
This does have hot take written all over it. What do you think?
Oh, I'm gonna still go with Boston's line. That's the best line in hockey.
Me too.
All right. Well, I think I hate Boston. I hate everything about Boston. That team, at least. Boston is a city. It's a beautiful city. But I'm saying Colorado. I think McKinnon is unreal. I honestly, after watching McKinnon in the World Cup of Hockey on Team North America, I love McKinnon.
Mm-hmm.
And Rantanen actually he's not leading the league because he's scoring a bunch of goals. He's getting he's just racking up apples, and Landeskog is potting goals like nobody's business.
Yeah. Colorado's top line, it's up there for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a little early to really, because it's a little bit of unsustainable scoring for them. But I'd be interested to see who ends up on top at the end of the season.
Yeah. Okay. Second question. There are 3 players tied for first in goal scoring. You guess one of the 3. Chris,
Forsberg.
That is one of the 3. Dalton, what do you got? You got to get someone other than Forsberg.
I'm gonna pick Austin Matthews.
Austin Matthews is. Do you guys know the last one?
Gross.
I got no clue. Is it McDavid? Maybe.
It is not McDavid. Chris, do you think you know who the third person is?
Well, I'm gonna just take a wild guess, and I'm gonna say Landeskog.
It is not Landeskog, but from the conversation earlier, it is David Pastrnak.
Oh.
Yeah, they are all tied at 10.
Man.
All right, question number 3. Who is leading with all the apples?
With all the apples.
Yeah, who has all the apples?
Well, I'm gonna say it's Rantanen.
Yeah, that is correct. It is Mikko
That is a
Rantanen.
good guess, yeah.
That's the answer.
Yeah, fair enough. And then looking at plus minus, Rantanen, Landeskog, and McKinnon all are the top 3 in plus minus. Rantanen and Landeskog are a plus 14, and McKinnon is a plus 12.
I hate plus minus as a stat, but that's pretty good.
I don't hate plus minus as a stat, so that's still good.
Well, I mean, it's just so often that guys will get minuses or pluses, like as a result of a change or just being on the ice for a reason, like not even a part of the play, and it just goes in. And
I get that, Dalton, as a short-term statistic. I don't think it's super reliable, but I will tell you, like, I don't score. I mean, Mike will tell you this. I don't score goals. I'm not usually involved in the offense, but the way I judge the success of my game is plus minus when I play every game, how many goals I'm on the ice for versus how many, against. So I think it does have good measure because over time it is, if you're consistently a plus year after year after year, your teammates change, your play style changes, the ability of your team changes. And if you're still plus, then that says something about the way you play.
But that being said, the team that you're playing for, like how good your team is the biggest contributor to how plus you are going to be, how minus you're going to be. There is exceptions, and I'll give you that.
The thing that I like plus minus as a stat. The thing that my one problem with it is you don't count plus is if you are scored on if you score on a power play or if you are scored on the penalty kill.
Mm-hmm. Which makes sense.
I mean, I understand why, but it's frustrating, especially because, like, let's say you win a game 3-2, and you are on the ice you score all 3 goals on the power play, but then the other team scored 2 goals against you while you were on the ice. You're now a -2 on the game, but you won the game and were on the ice for all 3 goals.
Yeah, that's just another reason I hate the plus minus this stat. It has some value, but I think people just use it because it's an easy stat to look at.
Yeah. So we're running a bit long, so we will go to our last and most exciting segment of the podcast, hot takes.
Oh, man.
And as Chris has already pointed out, it is probably an unsustainable. So if you, the fan, the listener, has another idea for a segment, let us know tweet at us at Blue Line South or look for us on SoundCloud at South of Blue Line Podcast. Hot takes, Dalton, go.
I'm just going to do like a weekly hot take now because I feel like my season ones, I can only make so many of them.
Yeah.
All right, my weekly hot take. McDavid will get 2 hat tricks this week.
Wow.
One of them tomorrow.
Oh man, you couldn't help yourself, huh?
Well, I mean, I haven't made an Oilers hot take in a while, so
fair enough. Yeah. You think McDavid's gonna light up the Sibs that are the Chicago Blackhawks?
Absolutely. Okay, I'll make it even hotter. He's gonna be leading the league in goals by the end of the next podcast.
All right. I mean, he's at 7 right now, so if he scores a hat trick. Yeah, that was so. Since Chris was kicked off, I will go ahead and make my hot take. Here's my hot take. It is going to pertain to the Lightning.
Ooh.
I saw Ryan Reeves crush Victor Hedman, and I think that is going to mess with their minds a little bit. I think Victor Hedman's going to miss at least a week, I think, and I think that Lightning have a losing record coming out of November.
Wow, that is a hot take.
Okay, maybe not a losing record as in their total record, but in the month of October, they'll have a losing record.
I got you.
They'll probably come out of it positive just because they've won so many games already. But I'm saying, even if it's 1 under, I'm saying Tampa Bay Lightning losing record out of November.
All right, I like it.
I think that's a pretty hot take.
Yeah, it's spicy.
Chris has yet to come back, but I know he hates the hot take segment.
Mm-hmm. I'll make one for him.
Yeah.
Here's his hot take. Laurent Brossoit is going to get a shutout every game he plays this week.
Wow, Chris, that is a hot take.
Yeah, spicy take, Chris.
Dalton, anything else? Anything you'd like to plug here?
Well, man, I'm not a big plugger.
All right,
Plug the podcast. That's all.
All right, I will plug the podcast then. This has been episode 3 of South of the Blue Line. You can subscribe to us on SoundCloud, Anchor, Spotify, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, iTunes podcast very soon. Really anywhere you can find podcasts, we will be. Subscribe, listen weekly, send us messages on Twitter. Also, follow us on Twitter at Blue Line South. You can follow Dalton on Twitter, but he's never on it. He strictly made a Twitter just for the podcast.
What's Twitter?
Yeah, exactly. And if you guys want to support us monetarily with your money, go to anchor.com. .fm. Look up South of the Blue Line podcast, and you can send us money.
What?
Yes. If you guys are so inclined, you can send us money. We be using it to pay things like SoundCloud's beer, SoundCloud subscriptions, maybe better equipment like mics if we get that kind of money.
Maybe we'll fly me all the way down there so we could record in the same room.
We could record in the same room. If you guys are super supportive and send us a ton of money, we'll do a live recording at a theater.
Oh,
I've seen that done before. But that'll take a lot of, if any of the casual billionaires that are listening to the podcast want to send us just a couple grand, just lob some. We are open to all of it. So
yeah, that's
Blue
a
Line,
pretty big user base for us.
Yeah, I think so. Blue Line South on Twitter, South of the Blue Line podcast everywhere else. This has been episode 3. I am Michael. Dalton.
I'm Dalton.
Yep. Chris is the cranky one that listens to the Jets. And we will see you all next week.
See you guys.
See you, bud.